They gather before dawn, always before dawn. Shadows first, then shapes, then faces. Familiar, broken, stubborn faces. The bridge is still there, half of it, anyway, like a sentence left unfinished in a language no one wants to remember. I like this beginning. It feels solemn, weighty, maybe even honest. The workers arrive silently, as if afraid the air might remember what happened. Exiles by decree, returning by instinct. Former engineers, welders, pensioners too old to run from anything anymore. They're not rebuilding a structure, they're resurrecting a memory. Each bolt they fasten is a refusal to forget. Each plank, a protest against erasure. Yes, this looks good to me. There's a poetry to it, something tender in the defiance. Like they're not rebuilding the bridge for traffic, but for ghosts. That's it, the bridge is a path for ghosts. To walk back home, a welcome mat for memory. But, am I romanticizing this? I think I am. Am I crafting fiction or self-soothing through metaphor? Is this story a tribute or an opiate? They weren't allowed to return. The exclusion zone was closed for a reason. Radiation doesn't care about nostalgia. Cesium-137 doesn't flinch at human resolve. Yet here I am, writing them as heroes. But what if they're not? What if they're addicts of the past, snorting memory like it's morphine? And the protagonist, the young engineer, I saw him clearly at first. Wide-eyed, earnest, a believer. The kind of man who sketches blueprints with a pencil sharpened by conviction. But he's not real. He's me, or who I wish I were. And that makes me distrust him already. I made him a symbol. That's the problem. Symbols lie. They simplify. I wanted the bridge to represent hope. But hope for what? That Pripyat will return? That the past is recoverable? That the laws of decay can be bargained with? It's idiotic. No, it's human. That's worse. They know the town is uninhabitable. They know the bridge connects nothing to nowhere. So why do they return? Is it because humans can't accept silence? Because rebuilding is easier than grieving? I hate this. I hate that I can't answer that without choosing a side, without reducing it to moral clarity, which doesn't exist. Not here. Not in this place where grass glows at night and clocks were left at 1:23 a.m. I wanted to honor them, their effort, their unity. But now I see them carrying beams like martyrs to a cause that doesn't want them. Their skin irradiated, their lungs lying, and still they lift. Is this bravery or delusion? No, don't answer that. Don't ruin it by trying to define it. Maybe the bridge is both, or neither. Maybe it's just steel and grief. But how do I write that? How do I tell a story that folds in on itself? That has no arc, just a spiral of longing and futility? I can't even finish the first 10 pages without feeling like I'm betraying someone, either the living or the truth. And what is the truth here? That nature doesn't forgive, that governments bury both bodies in blame, that radiation lingers longer than memory? No, this isn't the story I thought it was. This isn't a tale of rebuilding. It's a slow funeral, with tools instead of tears. God, what was I trying to do? Immortalize them? Or redeem myself? The bridge doesn't lead anywhere. Not in real life. Not in fiction. It's a loop. A broken promise. Maybe that's why I can't write the ending. Maybe there is no ending. Just the same men, walking the same path, holding rusted tools and whispered names, building something only they believe in. Or maybe not even them. Maybe just me. And I don't believe anymore. The engineer's name is Mikhail. I gave him that name because it sounded grounded, solid, like a man who builds things with his hands and doesn't flinch when reality pushes back. He's in his early 30s. Brilliant, scarred but steady. He returned to Pripyat not out of madness, but principle. That's what I wrote, principle. As if that word still means anything in a world where every moral stance ends up tangled in wires and red tape and graves. But even now, I can't decide if I respect him or pity him, or if I invented him just to wear my own indecision. He sketches the bridge by candlelight. In my story, the electricity never returned, just like the people weren't supposed to. And as he draws the support beams, I imagine him whispering calculations like prayer. It's a nice image. Too nice, maybe. Why does he build? For the others? For himself? For the idea of home? Or is it guilt? No, wait. That's me again. Every time I write his dialogue, I hear my own voice. Not his. I'm writing a man who stands on a crumbling platform above a contaminated river, drawing lines in graphite like he's redrawing history. But what history? What does he think he's saving? And worse, what am I doing? This isn't a story anymore. It's theater. A moral pageant dressed in hard hats and poetic dust. He tells his crew they're reclaiming what was stolen. That sounds good, doesn't it? Noble. Almost cinematic. But stolen by whom? The atom. The state. Time itself. The narrative's collapsing under the weight of its own metaphors. The bridge isn't a bridge anymore. It's a symbol wearing a lie. Do I even have the right to write this? These people existed. This town existed. And here I am, shaping their pain into something useful. Into story. Into meaning. Mikhail's hands tremble. I wrote that line this morning. I thought it revealed vulnerability. But now it just feels manipulative. Another cue for empathy. Another trick. I want to believe I'm honoring them. But maybe I'm just profiting off suffering with prettier words. Every line I write, I hear a whisper. Are you explaining or excusing? Are you illuminating or using? Why do writers think suffering gives us permission to make art? Am I romanticizing tragedy? Or worse, am I aestheticizing it? This town was poisoned. Not just biologically, but politically, ethically. A failure wrapped in secrecy and silence. And I'm turning it into a fable. A cautionary tale dressed up as resilience. Hope. God, that word again. Why do I keep clinging to it like it's a narrative life raft? If I write Mikhail as hopeful, am I lying? If I write him as broken, am I exploiting? I tried writing a scene where he looks out over the unfinished bridge and sees a deer walking across the exposed girders. I thought it was poignant. Life and death. Nature reclaiming ruin. But it felt staged. Like I was trying to say something rather than feel something. And maybe that's the problem. I'm trying to explain something I don't understand. I want the story to mean something before I've let it be anything. Maybe Mikhail doesn't need to speak in metaphors. Maybe he just needs to stand there. Quiet. Unsure. Like I am. Maybe the only honest line I've written is his silence. But silence doesn't sell. Silence doesn't carry a plot. I keep looking for a thread, something clean to follow. But all I see are frayed ends and unresolved chords. I don't know how to write this anymore. The characters feel hollow. Like shadows cast by brighter, crueler truths. I wanted them to be real. But every time I give them dialogue, it feels like ventriloquism. Maybe that's what fiction is, an elegant form of avoidance. I wanted to write about progress. But now all I see are ghosts. And so the final stretch. The bridge is nearly finished. Steel girders laid like bones across the void. The men work slower now, their steps uncertain, like they can feel the story tightening around them. Mikhail stands at the edge, watching the last segment hang midair. One final connection before it becomes what? A monument? A grave marker? A lie? I wanted to bring them home. That's how this started. A story about people reclaiming what was lost. About resilience rising from ashes or isotopes or some other metaphor I no longer trust. But what does it mean to finish something that leads nowhere? If they complete the bridge, they don't return to life. They return to contamination. Silence. The echo of Geiger counters and birds that forgot how to sing. And if they don't? If they leave it unfinished, just another rusting arc in a place the world erased, then what's the point? What was all this for? Closure? There is no closure here. Only slow decay. I tried to write an ending last night. Mikhail gives a speech. The workers stand proud. A helicopter flies overhead, ignoring them, symbolic of the world's indifference. Too neat. Too smug. I deleted it. Then I wrote a version where they abandoned the bridge in the middle of the night, leaving their tools behind like fossils. That felt truer, but also cowardly, like I was trying to escape the same way they were. I've rewritten this ending 6 times, each one less honest than the last. I thought fiction could hold contradiction, that I could walk the line between despair and dignity. But stories want resolution. They want arcs. And this is a spiral, a loop of effort and denial and grief dressed as progress. The bridge is a metaphor, yes, but not for hope. Not anymore. It's for hubris. The same hubris that split the atom and told itself it had control. The same delusion that says, we can return. We can fix this. We can go back. We can't. Pripyat is still there, rotting in silence. The moss growing over playgrounds, the posters still hanging in classrooms, frozen in May 1986. And I'm here at a desk, inventing people to carry my questions. Mikhail doesn't exist. The workers don't exist. The bridge doesn't exist. And yet, I've spent days, weeks, trying to make them real enough to suffer. Who am I to finish this? Maybe stories like this shouldn't be finished. Maybe they should haunt. So I'll leave the bridge incomplete. The final beam lies on the ground, untouched. The workers have stopped coming. Mikhail doesn't say goodbye. He just walks away, boots crunching gravel, the wind louder than his thoughts. That's it. No resolution. No revelation. Just the ghost of an idea, unfinished, like the structure it imagined. The manuscript ends here. A bridge to nowhere. And I close the file. Because some stories aren't meant to be told, only remembered.